Hi, I'm Mike Schuman of Vermont VA Federal Credit Union, and this is the latest edition of Show Me the Money. It's a personal finance show to discuss best practices and how you can best succeed. This particular special edition is about the holidays, so we can get ahead of the game. We don't have that holiday debt hangover, that holiday hangover of overspending. The idea is that we always want to find ways to succeed and live life to the fullest. So thanks for joining us. This is going to be a relatively brief show compared to what we have, so enjoy every moment of it. So I want to keep finances afloat during the holidays. And some of this information I got from Marine Corps News, partly because they had good information and partly because we are the Vermont VA Federal Credit Union, and so we like to help the patriots that have served our country as well. And going forward, just in case you have any questions of me for either this show or for future shows, Mike at vtvafcu.com. So thanks for joining us for Show Me the Money's special holiday edition. Every year, every holiday season, people spend millions of dollars on travel, gifts, and meals, leaving their wallets to feel the pain as the new year rolls around. So that's what we're trying to avoid this time around. We want you to be able to get things for yourself or for your family, for your friends, to get the best values possible. That's really the idea. But don't just turn off your brain for 1 month where you just let everything happen, because then you'll be paying for it for the rest of the year. And in fact, one of the good strategies is you could open up a Christmas Club account as of January 1, so you're building up some cash reserves so you don't go into debt for the holiday season in 2016. So, tip number 1, think rationally. That's what we want to do every day, but we need to make sure that we think rationally, especially during the holiday season, because it's a time of year where people don't think about their finances, and it can hurt them come January when the bills come in. We're in a festive mood during the holiday season, and that tends to lead people to spend without thinking. We need to spend and think at the same time. Make a list. You can make a list of who you're going to be giving gifts to. You can put next to that list, you can put down what you have in mind to get them, maybe even a dollar amount, so that way you can stick to a budget. Doesn't have to be an absolute budget, just a guideline, as we talked about in the past. I think the average American spends about $700 during the holiday season for gifts, and that includes getting gifts for themselves. A lot of people do that as well. So if you see something you really like, obviously you take advantage of that opportunity if it's a good deal. And we're also going to talk about what not to get during the holiday season when the prices are a little bit higher, and when to get them. So maybe you get something now for yourself, maybe you get something for yourself at another point in time during the year. But really the focus on is to provide gifts. And once again, that could be charitable gifts to those who are not as fortunate as ourselves, who need the help. So you may find yourself in a position you're spending money on something that you normally wouldn't. Think about it. Sometimes it's best to wait a day before you make that determination, whether it's online or if you go into a store. Don't get caught up in the hype of buying blindly. Gotta keep your thinking caps on. Stay away from store credit cards and think about each purchase before you commit. Tip number 2, as I just mentioned about Christmas clubs, plan ahead. Even with Christmas a few weeks away, it's the time to start planning for next year. So come January 1, make a determination. I'm going to put away 25, 30, whatever, dollars per pay period. So by the end of the year, when you want to actually buy gifts for next year, you don't have to go into debt. You can actually have the cash and pay in cash or debit card or what have you, credit card, and pay it off if you can. Trying to scrape up funds for Christmas at the end of October is planning for failure, as they like to say, or even at the beginning of December, where we are now. You should always be mindful of your spending. Do some shopping for next year's gifts and decorations the day after Christmas, or when you get a deal, when everything has a deep discount. We'll talk about things that are a little discounted now or after the season, but not to buy now. It'll save you money now and a headache later. Travel wisely. Depending on how far away someone is stationed from their hometown, remember, this is Marine Corps, round-trip tickets there and back during the holiday season can break the bank. But this is going to be for anybody. A lot of people like to travel during this season. You've got to think smart when it comes to trying to get home for the holidays or to wherever you're going. If you're broke and your family can't help the offset to the cost of a ticket, the best decision made is save your money and go home another month when the prices are lower, because people are traveling to a much larger degree now because the economy is getting a little better, but also there's seasonality involved. Redefine family. If you can't afford to go home for the holidays, sometimes we have family by choice, friends and colleagues and what have you, and maybe during the holiday season you can take advantage of their concern, their love for you, and you can always visit your actual family, maybe after the new year when the prices of things get lower. Change your focus. Resist the urge to give into societal pressures to buy multiple expensive gifts and focusing instead on spending quality time with your family. Once again, if you do travel, so this may be an alternative. Maybe you buy smaller gifts and travel. So you're trying to make a determination. What's the most important thing? Is it gifts? Is it visiting family? Maybe it's both, and if you do that, maybe get smaller gifts. A lot of times people just want to see you. But once again, to expect you're going to get expensive gifts and to travel, that may not be reasonable within your budget. So just think about these things. We want to think rationally, remember. You could always do nice things instead of buying expensive gifts. Cooking, cleaning, writing a letter, or just telling them how much you appreciate them. When it comes down to it, it's not the stuff you get, but the time you spend with each other. So once again, that goes antithetical to what I just talked about travel. But once again, if you travel instead of buying all these gifts, that's fine. I even told my staff the other day, I don't expect them to give me gifts. I can give them gifts. That's just my personal feeling that you should not gift up to the boss. The boss should be gifting down to you. And someone said some really nice things about me. And so as a result, that was very gratifying. And it's the best gift of all, as I told her. That was just a very nice thing to say. So those things can make you feel better than a sweater that may just add to the pile of additional sweaters you might have. Set your budget. As I mentioned, some people, they absolutely positively need a budget, and I've said in prior shows. The best way to start making a holiday budget is to look at your spending during last year's holiday season. What areas did you spend more than planned? Make the list, as I mentioned, all the people you want to give to, how much you want to spend on each individual. Make sure it doesn't go above and beyond that budget. Consider all your major spending categories like gifts, entertaining, meals, and travel, and then estimate how much you can afford to spend in each category. Have a micro budget, a specific spending limit for each person on your gift list. Many financial planners recommend spending no more than 1.5% of annual income on holiday expenses. For someone who makes a lot of money, that may be too high. So just put down maybe what the average American does, or maybe a little less. So you can take the additional, maybe save it for future years, for just to have a little bit of a cushion, maybe towards your retirement. Knowing your spending goals long beforehand will help you stay on track financially as the season heats up. Get creative. Store-bought gifts are great, but homemade gifts are often more meaningful, and most recipients truly appreciate your time and effort. Ideas for creative gift projects are plentiful online. If you like the idea of a personal touch and affordability, don't have the time or skill to make gifts, the ultimate marketplace for homemade gifts is Etsy, ETSY.com, where you can find crafty items from over 200,000 sellers, so that's something to consider as well. Join together. Instead of excessively spending money on each other this year, join together with family members to help those who may be less fortunate. Online opportunities are easy to find, and there are several stories out there. Just check the internet, helping others when money is tight. Other opportunities for online giving can be found at websites like Oxfam, Axion. They're obviously giving. We talked about that just a moment ago. Charitable giving, because that's the nature of this season. It's giving, and it's not always gifts. It's actually to help people who are less fortunate. As I said, travel wisely. Take some time to determine how much it will cost you. Entertain for less. Holidays are a wonderful time to entertain, but a little planning and budgeting can help you avoid financial headaches. They're going to have a fun event that won't hurt you financially. So maybe you have a few people over, people bring in food, so on and so forth. There are a lot of tips out there to keep your holiday budget in shape. Welcome back to Show Me the Money. I'm Mike Schuman of Vermont VA Federal Credit Union, and this is our special holiday edition. So people don't get that holiday debt hangover. We're trying to put people in a good financial situation, best practices. during the holiday season. And we just talked about some tips so you don't go overboard. But now I'm going to talk about the worst deals during the holiday season when you shouldn't be buying stuff like this now. You need stuff or you want stuff, there are better times to buy it because there's all of a sudden everyone tends to buy these things now, and you don't necessarily need to buy these things now. The first thing on the list, bedding, okay? If you're considering stocking up on bedding, comforters, sheets, and pillowcases, wait a few weeks longer for even deeper discounts. Go into the new year. Take advantage of white sales in January at big name retailers, Macy's, Targets, and Kohl's. Savings on bedding during these annual sales can add up to as much as 50%. So if you're going to spend $200, maybe instead you spend $100. You never know. So that's a nice savings if you can just wait a few weeks. Second worst deal, Broadway tickets. People go to New York and they spend a ton of money. Everyone wants to go to New York. They travel, they go to New York, and they spend a ton of money on these Broadway shows. So that is something to consider as well. It's very expensive. If you go and you can get 2 tickets for the price of 1 in several popular shows during Broadway week in January, which actually lasts 2 weeks. Some shows even offer a discount for up to 4 weeks. January and February are good months in general to see Broadway shows because it's off season and ticket prices tend to drop. So bear that in mind. Number 3, it's a personal favorite because I love those ads this time of year where in the driveway is a car with a big bow. Well, it's a terrible time to buy a car between now and Christmas. But after Christmas, just after Christmas, between the 26th and the 31st, it's the end of the month, it's the end of the year. It's a great time to actually look at buying a car because that's when car dealers are looking to make deals. They're in mood to haggle, clear the inventory before year end. Now, that's for a new car. If you're looking for a used car, hold off until April for the best deals. It's the month dealers tend to buy the most at auction. Give me the best selection. So if that's a new car, wait till the 26th of December until the end of the year. If it's a used car, wait till April. Caribbean cruises, bad time to be buying into something like that because once again, everyone wants to travel at that point in time during the holiday season. More crowds, higher prices. If you book a cruise, do it in January, do it in February, do it in March. Lower fares, you avoid the holiday crowds and beat the spring break rush. The industry's wave season also takes place during that time when cruise lines offer added discounts that may help you save even more on your trip. You can score some of the best cruise deals if you book at the last minute. Just don't expect the really cheap tickets to get you a stateroom with a view, so just be aware of that. Next thing to avoid buying is exercise equipment. You might see a few sales on fitness gear and equipment in December, but January is when the real deals appear on exercise equipment. Retailers know that people usually resolve to lose weight in a year, so they tend to have sales on fitness equipment in January. So just bear that in mind. Look for markdowns of 30 to 70% on fitness DVDs, treadmills, elliptical trainers, stationary bikes, and complete home gyms. So if you want to get something like that, do it after Christmas in January. Next item to try to avoid during this holiday season, furniture. Once again, these are high ticket items anyways. So if you're going to do it, buy these things when they are the least expensive. You wait until after Christmas, when furniture stores hold clearance sales to make room for new styles that are usually released in February. So January would be a good time because February they need to bring in new inventory, so they need to get rid of the old inventory. So that's a good deal. Expect discounts of up to 50% on discontinued furniture styles and in-store floor samples. Also, many stores offer 0% financing, but you want to be careful with that. You want to make sure you pay that off before the 0% financing does end. Now, this is an interesting one that I found, and that is gift cards, because people like to give more and more gift cards. But it turns out if you wait until after Christmas, you actually get a discount of up to 15% on buying gift cards from most retailers. So that's a pretty nice deal. If you want to get gift cards, I understand they'd be very popular. A lot of people get them and don't even use them. But if you're going to get them, if you can wait till after Christmas, understood. That's a pretty nice situation. Holiday decorations. Resist the urge to buy new holiday decorations before Christmas because you can get them at bottom barrel prices in January. So once again, think rationally, think ahead. Buy January for what you need for the following year so that you'll save a ton of money. Retailers typically mark down ornaments, garlands, artificial trees, and decor as much as 90%. 90% after December 25th. So If you don't mind the red and green theme or chocolate shaped like a wreath, you can also load up on deeply discounted edible holiday treats in January. And once again, put them in the basement, put them somewhere. Maybe food is not the best option, but things, other things that you're going to be using next year, buy it in January. Think of the savings. You spend $200 in December, you may be able to spend $20. That is a great, great deal. Next item on the list, also a big ticket item, is jewelry. New piece of jewelry ranks high in many holiday wish lists, but high demand often means higher prices, so you may want to give your sweetheart a rain check and wait until after Valentine's Day to buy that pearl necklace or those diamond earrings. You can save 15 to 25% on jewelry during post-Valentine's Day sales. That's a pretty nice deal. And if you're spending a ton of money, over $5,000, $6,000 on a watch, what have you, during those times, you can sometimes get an even deeper discount. You can negotiate these things with jewelers. Luggage. If you need to replace a beat-up roll-on that's been tossed around too many times by airline baggage handlers, March is the best time to buy luggage. Retailers mark down luggage because sales have slowed after the busy holiday travel season and haven't picked up yet for summer. Look for discounts ranging from 20 to 70%. So once again, maybe you're talking $400 for a piece of luggage. So if you can get it 70% off, even 50% off, you're going to be saving a couple $100. And if you can get it for 70% off, that's a pretty sweet deal. Winter apparel. Best time to buy a winter coat. When is that? August, when it's hot and muggy out. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? They'll offer discounts on coats, sweaters, and other cold weather clothing during Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales. However, the deals will be even better, ironically, in January. But once again, August is a great time to buy these things. Stores have clearance sales oftentimes after the holiday season to make room for spring clothing. You can expect to see markdowns of at least 75%. So the old saw of August being a good time, definitely a good time to buy it when it's really hot outside. People don't like to go shopping anyways during August. They're away on vacation and it's hot, and especially when it's warm out, they don't like to shop. They like to shop when it's cold. It's a very strange circumstance. But January, you can actually get a deal of up to 75%. Winter sports equipment. Gifts for winter sports enthusiasts until the new year, January or February. Snowboard, skis, ice skates, goggles, hockey gear, and more will be marked down at least 10 to 20% in January. If you can wait a bit longer, expect even deeper discounts during clearance sales in February and March. So keep an eye out for those things that you really want. If you really want them, you're going to buy them. There's no way I'm going to stop you from that. You have the freedom of choice to do that. But be aware, some of these things, if they're on this list, and if you can wait, do so. Welcome back. I'm Mike Schuman of Vermont VA Federal Credit Union, and this is a special holiday edition of Show Me the Money. And we've been talking about the do's and don'ts, the best practices, and other sort of tips and hints regarding the holiday season. So now we're going to get into something for those folks who have completely ignored me. We're going to make sure that you have a good enough credit score. You have a good enough credit score, so if you actually have to consolidate your debt, make sure that these debts are paid off, so on and so forth. And of course, the other reasons, so you want to make sure you have a high credit score, just in case you are looking to get or you need a new job. A lot of employers nowadays, they pull your credit report to make sure that you have good credit. They see that as a risk mitigator. People with good credit, they presume, are more, they're employees, so they're more trustworthy. Not stating that to be the case, that's a presumption. Insurance, a lot of insurance companies, they utilize credit reports as well. And of course, borrowing. So the key thing, so the bottom line is, and we've talked about this before, but it's so important based on a large part of your life. You want to have the highest credit score you possibly can. How do you do that? The bottom line basics are utilizing credit. You want to use it, as far as getting a higher score, you want to use credit wisely and sparingly. That's what you want to do. Wisely, pay everything on time. If something is due on the 10th of the month, make sure that payment is out by the 1st of that month so it gets there by the 10th. Use online bill pay to make sure that it goes there either fast through a check or even faster through ACH, which is electronic. So that's 35% of your score, your payment history. So you're going to make sure that that's on there. You're paying everything on time. 30% of your score is your balance to limit ratio on your revolving credit. That could be credit card, that could be overdraft protection, lines of credit, that could be a home equity line of credit. So once again, if you have 10,000 limits and you're at 10,000 of your balances, you're maxed out. Your score is going to be lower than it would otherwise be. even if you pay everything on time, and I've seen people who have perfect payment history, maxed out on their credit cards, and as a result, their scores are in the 500s. The scores range from 300 to 850. You want to be closer to 850. Once again, you're more likely to get credit, you're more likely to get a job, you're more likely to get better rates on insurance, and you're going to do so at lower prices. So that's important. That's why you want to make sure you're not maxed out. So you keep your limits high and your balances low on a revolving credit. If you have a credit card with a high limit and they're starting to charge you an annual fee, replace it with a no annual fee credit card. And once that's in place, then you can cancel out the card with an annual fee. Try to avoid annual fee credit card. That's important. So we're talking about 65% of your score right off the top is payment history and also keeping your balances low and your limits high. The other 35% tie into some of the basics of new credit, the types, the mix of credit you have. Do you have term loans? Do you have credit cards, lines of credit? So a line of credit, you have a $5,000 limit. You can be at zero, you could be 5,000, you could be anywhere in between. That could be an overdraft line of credit. It could be a credit card, it could be a home equity line of credit. So you have a mix of, say, credit cards, overdraft protection lines of credit, but also a term loan. What's a term loan? A mortgage. You have a term. You have a 30-year term, 15-year term. So that means you make a payment every month. A car loan, once again, every month you're making a payment on that car loan. You get a 5-year car loan, a 4-year car loan. After you've paid it off in a timely manner, those things are paid off. So there's a specific term to those. So if you have a good mix of term loans and lines of credit, once again, that helps your score. New credit, minor negative, minor, because we have an inquiry from someone pulling your credit. That is a minor negative. It's 3 to 5 points on your score. Not a big deal. Then, of course, the new line of credit is put on your credit report, so that's also a minor negative. But over time, it becomes a positive as long as you're paying everything on time, you're keeping your balances low. So those are the key components. New for the other 35%. It's regarding the first 65% is paying on time, your payment history, and also your balance to limit ratio and revolving credit. That's 65% right off the top. The other 35% regards new credit, your mix of credit, how long you've had credit. So if you've had credit for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, it'll show your oldest line of credit. People with the highest credit scores generally have credit for about 30 years. So if someone says to me, I want to establish credit, and as if there's an end point, it doesn't work that way. It's a constant, it's a dynamic process. You're always in the process of keeping a good credit score. And if you miss a payment, that can hurt your score. It's going to drop your credit score, usually about 50 or 60 points if you're late on a payment. So it's just a constant. You get a bill, pay it in a timely manner. That's important. So that's why the basic fundamental premise is use credit wisely and sparingly. And if you do that, you have a higher score. It's going to open up more doors to lower credit, lower rates, and more accessibility for credit, for borrowing, for jobs, for insurance, and if you need an apartment, all these other things. So it's really to your advantage. You might as well do as much as you can with keeping your credit score high, because at the end of the day, it opens up doors and it keeps your costs lower. So that's a nice situation. I'm Mike Schuman with the Vermont VA Federal Credit Union. If you have any questions about this or any other questions that you may want to ask, once again, Mike at vtvafcu.com. I thank you very much. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas. And I thank you very much.